You promised worlds with no star at all, drifting through the cold dark between the suns.
Word for word, and today we go chasing a planet that lost its sun.
But every planet I know circles a sun, the way Earth circles ours.
Most do, and yet some wander alone, with no sun anywhere in their sky.
A whole planet just drifting along with no sun at all to circle?
Cast out or born alone, roaming the wide cold space between the stars.
That sounds so lonely and a little bit scary.
Lonely perhaps, but not a monster, and one of them may even hide a sea.
Wait, an ocean on a world with no sun in its sky?
Hold that thought, explorer, because that is exactly where we are going.
Then let's go meet the wanderers.
Picture a planet, round and rocky, much like the worlds you already know. Now take away its sun and every other sun and leave it in the dark.
So it just floats there, in the black, with nothing to light it up?
Exactly, a world with no sun, sailing the empty space between the stars.
I didn't know a planet was even allowed to do that.
Space makes no rules about company, and a great many worlds keep their own.
So how does a planet end up all alone out there?
Two ways, and the first is the tale of a shove from a bigger sibling. In a young family of planets, a giant one can swing its gravity like a great arm. One good pull and a smaller world is flung right out of the family for good.
Its own big brother just throws it away into the dark?
Not from spite, only from gravity, the same tug that keeps you on the ground. The other way is stranger still, a world that was simply born alone. A small knot of gas and dust can gather and shrink all on its own in the cold. But if it stays too small, it never catches fire to shine as a star.
So it wanted to be a star and just didn't grow up big enough.
Something like that, and it lives on as a dark and lonely world instead. Cast out or born alone, either path leaves a wanderer in the dark.
But if it gives off no light, how could anyone ever find it?
That is the clever part, and it borrows light it does not own. Heavy things bend the space around them, and bent space bends light too. So when a dark world drifts in front of a faraway star, it works like a lens.
A lens? Like the round glass in a magnifier?
Just so, and for a little while the star behind it flares up much brighter. We never see the wanderer, only the star it brightens as it passes.
So we catch its shadow by the glow, not by its own face.
Beautifully put, we catch a passing world by the light it lifts. Then the moment passes, the star sits quiet again, and the wanderer is gone.
Gone? Just like that, back into the dark?
Gone for good, so we must be watching the very night it drifts by. The first lonely worlds we caught this way were a wonderful surprise. One brief glow revealed a wanderer no larger than our own Earth.
A whole Earth out there with no sun to warm it?
A whole Earth, adrift and dark, and it may have a great deal of company. The little worlds, it seems, get flung out far more often than the giants.
Because the small ones are easier to shove around?
Exactly. A lighter world holds on more weakly and is thrown the farthest.
You said we never see them, but is that always true?
Not quite always, because the youngest wanderers still carry a glow. A newborn world is hot from the making, holding the heat of its birth. That leftover heat shines softly in a kind of light our own eyes cannot see.
A light we can't see, but our machines can?
Just so, and with the right eyes, we have taken their picture directly. In a nearby nursery of stars, young wanderers glow with their own birth heat.
An actual photograph of a planet with no sun at all?
A real one, drifting free, lit only by the last soft heat of being born.
So how many of these wanderers are out there, do you think?
Now that, explorer, is where the number turns your head. Count every star you can see, then imagine the wanderers in between. There may be more starless worlds than there are stars in the whole sky.
More planets than stars. How can that possibly be right?
It bends the mind, and some careful guesses say many times more. If they are right, the dark is not empty, but crowded with quiet worlds.
The wanderers might be the most common worlds of all.
They might, which would make the lonely ones the great crowd of the galaxy. But let me draw the honest line, the way we always do. That wanderers exist and can be found is written firmly in ink. That they outnumber the stars is a pencil guess from a young science.
So we know they're real, we're just still counting them.
Precisely, and every year the counting grows a little bit sharper.
And should I be afraid of one drifting toward us?
Not at all, for the space between stars is almost unimaginably wide. A wanderer minds its own long road and almost never meets a thing.
So it isn't hunting us, it's only traveling.
Only traveling quiet and far away through a dark it calls home.
Now tell me about the ocean, you promised me an ocean.
I did, and here is the tender secret of a sunless world. A planet holds a warmth of its own, buried deep inside its rock. Down in the core, slow-burning stone gives off a gentle, patient heat.
A fire on the inside, even with no sun on the outside?
Just so, and a thick coat of ice can trap that heat in like a blanket. Under enough ice, the buried heat can keep a hidden sea from freezing.
An ocean, sealed under ice, on a world with no sun in its sky?
An ocean in the dark, warmed from below instead of from above.
That's the same trick as the ocean moons, isn't it?
Almost, but no giant needs a lonely wanderer, so this warmth is all its own. Not a tide this time, only the slow fire of the rock itself.
So even a world with no sun might not be dead?
Even the loneliest wanderer need not be lifeless, and that is a wonder. Though whether anything swims in such a sea stays the lightest pencil of all.
A maybe then, and not an answer.
A maybe worth keeping, held gently until we learn more.
We started this whole adventure hunting for strange new worlds.
We did, and look how strange the road has grown. We met scorched giants where it rains molten glass and iron. We watched whole worlds being born inside a spinning ring of dust. We found hidden seas one door from home, sealed under moons of ice.
And now worlds with no sun at all, wandering the dark.
4 strange cages, and this last one was the strangest of them.
What made this one the strangest, out of everything we saw?
We thought the dark between the stars was empty and still. Instead, it may be the most crowded place of all, thick with quiet worlds.
The empty part of the sky was full the whole time.
Full of wanderers, and perhaps a few of them carrying seas.
It makes the sky feel so much bigger, and so much less lonely.
That is the gift of the wanderers, they fill the dark with company. Every empty patch you ever saw may hold a world you never knew.
Worlds no one has named, drifting quietly, keeping their own secrets.
Some cold and bare, and some perhaps wet and warm beneath their ice.
I'll never look at the dark between the stars the same way again.
Then the zoo has done its work and taught your eyes to wonder.
So where does the last of the road take us now?
To the finest question of them all, the one we have circled all along.
You mean, are we alone out here?
That very one, whether any of these worlds holds a spark of life.
After all these seas and skies, we finally get to ask it?
We do, and we will ask it as we always have, with wonder and with care. Ink where we truly know, and pencil where we only hope.
The biggest maybe there has ever been.
The biggest and the best, and next adventure we begin to chase it. Next adventure we ask whether we are alone in all this wide dark.
Are we truly alone out of all these countless worlds?
We go looking for any sign that something somewhere is alive. If a world with no sun can still hide a sea, then subscribe and ride to the question. Setting course for the greatest question of all.
See you out there, explorers.